fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live, our first episode of the spring sports season. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your hosts. Thanks for joining us. Back in our sound room tonight, it's TK and Heavy D. We'll be talking to them here in a few minutes, and one out the Studio R talking to Covey and Kearns. They're back for the spring sports season. Ken had fun sitting in the gym talking basketball all winter, but glad to be talking some outdoor sports now.
Yes, it is, Craig. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Coach Kurt Guttemiller and his Marion Local Flyers. You know, we talked a lot about Marion Local basketball this year. They were the MAC champions, Craig, and they turned around and won the Division IV Ohio High School basketball championships. They had a tough road to get there, and they surely were successful. Congratulations to Coach Guttemiller and the rest of his Marion Flyers. Tonight, Craig, you're right. Big show on hand, and we're looking forward to talking spring sports. We're going to talk some softball tonight. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some track and field, boys and girls. And our interview tonight, Craig, is with Russia senior Grace Saunders, the pitcher for the Russia Raiders. Craig pitched a complete game the other night against league rival, the Houston Wildcats. Really looking forward to talking to Grace and seeing what she has to look forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, if you look at the all-county voting from last year, she's actually the top returner coming back, and she certainly started out that way on Monday night, so awfully excited to talk to her. But before we do, Ken, just like we do here every week on the show, have our weekly poll question, and tonight's poll question has to do with softball.
Softball. Which of these four Shelby County League schools do you feel has the best chance to win the league championship? Is it Anna, Fort Loramie, Houston, or the defending league champion Russia Raiders? Which of those four? We'll go back to the sound room later in the show and see what our listeners have to say.
Yeah, those four teams historically seem to always be at the top of the league. And, if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page on your computer or your phone, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you happen to be watching us on NK Telco cable television, TK is going to report those results at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started. And, of course, one sport we like to talk about in the spring is track, and they've had a little bit of a rough time getting going here. You know, the girls were supposed to start things on Saturday over there at the Versailles Lady Tiger Classic. That gets rained out. Then I know the Russia girls were supposed to run on Tuesday night at the Sydney Invitational. That gets rained out, so really haven't got started to the season here too much yet. But let's talk about it a little bit. How about you talk about the boys? I'll talk about the girls. Give me maybe a couple individuals or maybe a team that you're watching this spring.
Absolutely, Craig. On the boys' side, Craig, I'm going to start with the Anna Rockets. They've got they lost some good runners last year, but they're back this year, Craig. They're going to be very competitive. They've got kids like Patrick Toller, Derek Arling, and Bart Bixler, very fast, athletic kids. And when it comes to Anna, Craig, you usually want to talk sprints with those guys, and they do a very good job with that. From Houston, Craig, we've got senior David Stallman. He's a shot putter, a discus thrower, from last year. Had a big year last year, Craig. Really looking forward to following his success this year. But when I talk about the best team in the league this year, Craig, I've got to go with the Fort Loramie Redskins. I think they're your Shelby County League favorite. They've got distance runners in Joe Ballas, Jake Reisman. They've got Carson Moore, and they've also, Craig, got Jarrett Meyer. He's a senior this year. He does a little bit of everything. He's good in the hurdles, the relays, the long jump. So he's going to be a key ingredient for that Fort Loramie track and field team this year. So I think when you look at teams overall, who to beat, it's going to be the Redskins, Craig. But I want to talk about one other kid, and that is Michael Dittmer, the transfer into Russia School this year. He's going to have to sit out the first half of the season due to OHSAA rules. But look out for this kid, Craig. He can do a lot. He's super fast. He's he can do the sprints. He can do the long jump. He's a kid, Craig, right there that could get Russia a lot of points in the postseason.
I've been hearing a lot about him and very anxious to see him perform. I like your call on Jarrett Meyer there. Did see him last year at State performing those 3 events that you mentioned. And, he's a big key for them. I'm excited to watch him here this year. Like you said, can do a little bit of everything. So, and it's interesting you mentioned throwers, the one at Houston there that went to State last year in the shot, because there's a pretty good one on the girls' side over at Botkins, and that's Grace Homan, the junior over there. Looking forward to watching her. She started out last year very well and performed all year long, as well as her freshman year, and back again for her junior year. She's going to be one of these girls that seems like is around forever, but anxious to watch her. And then, you talked about the team to beat being the Fort Army Redskins. I think the Fort Army Lady Redskins are the team to watch. Very talented there, especially in sprints. They got a Kennedy Gephardt over there that's very good. I'm looking forward to seeing her this year, as well as Alyssa Rassman, who I saw her in junior high and coming up here in high school, just a very good hurdler. So looking forward to watching those Lady Redskins. I think they're going to be very tough this year. No disrespect to the Anna Rockets, of course. They did it all last year, won a state championship with 4 girls over there, the Shoemakers, Hannah and Rachel, as well as Garrett and Glover, but lost half of those girls, Garrett and Glover, to graduation. So, I think that's gonna prevent them from being as good as they were last year. But still, Anna always seems to have good track athletes over there. And Russia, you can't talk about Russia without talking about Emily Bowman. Got 3rd last year at State in the pole vault. I know she works all summer on that event, takes a lot of pride in that event, and I think she's going to be one that's going to be watched around the state this year to see what kind of results she has. So looking for a big year from Emily Bowman.
Craig, track is very interesting because when you look at conference meets, you look at individual meets throughout the season, invitationals, and like I said, particularly the conference meets, it really takes a lot of depth to win those meets. But when you get further down into the postseason, like the Anna Rockets did last year, Craig, they only had 4 girls that went to the state track meet, but they came away as state champions.
Right.
Do you think that could happen again this year? Say maybe a team like the Anna Rockets where they potentially finish 2nd or maybe even 3rd in the Shelby County League meet, but 3 or 4 weeks later bring home the gold medal from Columbus.
Absolutely, it can happen. I mean, as you said, it's so different. Those early meets, and when you get to the state competition, it is so different. You can win the state meet. Last year, Anna won it with 38 points versus Minster's 36. You mentioned Anna. They're not going to do it this year. Like I said, too much of a loss there with Glover and Garrett. But I tell you what, Ken, I've seen a lot of great things happen at the state track meet. A lot of great things happen with Shelby County over there. No disrespect to any of those other great events. For example, 2013, that 4x8 winning it all. I'll never forget that. Came out of nowhere to win that. That was absolutely a great moment. Stacy Ritter over there at Houston back in 1990, getting runner-up all by herself was certainly a great moment. But I tell you what, that Anna performance last year, for me, was the greatest moment I've seen in Shelby County track history. I mean, those girls, they won the 4x2, they won the Kennedy Glover won the 800, they got the runner-up in the 4x1, and then it comes down to the last event. They had to win that final race. They knew they had to win that final race, and they're going against the team that's probably got the greatest history in Ohio history in track and field, the Minster Wildcats. And what they do, they won that event. They ended up with 38 points. Minster had 36. They get 2nd in that race, and they won by less than a second. They won that 4x4 with less than a second. They get 2nd. Minster and Anna are tied. And for me, it was the greatest moment I've seen in Shelby County history at the state track meet. So I'll never forget it. That's for sure.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of girls sports, I know another one that's on our radar, of course, is softball. And for that, we're going to go out to Studio R, out to Covey and Courage, and talk to those guys. And guys, that the softball season got underway in a big way. On Monday night, we got the top 2 teams from last year, Russia and Houston, going at it. The next 2 teams, Fort Laramie and Anna, they're going at it. So, what a way to start out the softball season. I want to get your thoughts on things, guys. How's it looking this year? What's your thoughts on softball?
Well, I think the Russia Raiders are coming in as heavy favorites here to three-peat here. They won 6-0. They got Grace Saunders on the mound. She's my pick for County Player of the Year. She does a real good job on the hill. They got a lot of veteran leadership on that team, which I think is key. And knowing a lot of those girls, they really enjoy the game of softball, and that's why they're heavy league favorites this year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I was at that game as well, and just seeing how the Raiders played, I think they asserted their dominance early, especially against a team that finished second last year. And with the Raiders coming back, just like you said, with Grace Saunders on the mound leading the team and also in the batter's box, I see her as also the SCL favorite of the year and as the team too.
Yeah, and you also see the Anna Rockets is who I predicted to come in second behind the Raiders this year. They got a lot of good returning players this year, as Macy Richard, who was a first-teamer, Olivia Place, who was a first-teamer as a sophomore. Anna's returning a lot of talent, so I think they're going to be the Raiders' biggest test here for a county title. You don't hear much about Anna in softball, but they're returning a lot and can give the Raiders a run for their money.
I think also with Anna too, they had a losing record last year, but they had a lot of potential with young kids coming back this year. I think it's a toss-up between Anna and Houston coming in second. They both have some young players coming back this year, but I think still Rushian first, and then Anna and Houston will battle it out for second.
Well, I like your calls back here, guys, especially Kobe. I like Grace the Ace. That's got a nice little jingle to it.
Well, you know, we called her Amazing Grace on the Fish Report website here this morning, so she's got a few nicknames right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and another team, obviously Houston, you see them coming in. They got a lot of returners. I see Rebecca New, Olivia Bowser are some of the names I could throw out there for you. They got a rich softball tradition there at Houston. They've won the majority of the county titles. So still look for them to be in the mix. It's an early loss, but it's a long season in 6 weeks, but they can still make up a lot of ground, cause some disruption in the league, and they'll surely be in the hunt for the league title.
What was you guys' thoughts? I'll ask Daniel back here. Were you surprised at the results of that Anna Fort Loramie game? You know, Coach Turner's always got a very good softball team over there.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, from Anna having a losing record last year and also Loramie having, I think it was 19-16 record last year. I figured it'd be more of a closer game than that, but I think Anna, maybe they had some of those girls working in the off season and they just came out, and that maybe that amateur status on them kind of got brushed off, and they finally got used to the game and blended well and strung some hits together and put a good win on for them.
Yeah, Loramie's got some pitching to replace. They lost Megan Coppin, who was first teamer last year. So you know they got some pitching to replace, but they got some names in the lineup like Abby Holdhouse, who you saw was the first team on the basketball court, a solid volleyball player as well. She's their key cog in the middle of the lineup there. But I think they got to figure out their pitching. They gave up 12 runs. You know, obviously you're not going to win a lot of games if you give up 12 runs. So we got to see the Redskins on the defensive side improve a little bit. Well, they surely can beat any of these three teams that I've mentioned before, Anna, Houston, or Russia, on any given night.
Yeah, you got a good point there on the pitching. You're right. You lose a first-team pitcher, and it's going to take a little time to replace them. It's early in the season. I saw assistant coach Nick Turner shoveling snow off the diamond the same day that they were getting ready to play, and got a chance to call the Russia Houston game the other night. Good call, and Rebecca knew there. She had 2 of the 3 Houston hits that night. Olivia Bowser will be a nice player for them, as you mentioned, and they got the Monyer behind the plate there that is a real nice player for them as well. So Houston's going to be okay. They got beat. They got shut out Monday night, but I think they're going to be okay.
You know, for our listeners out there that don't get to many softball games, it's a fun game to watch. It's fast-paced, a lot of action, especially when you got a couple good teams going at it. You can play a softball game in about an hour and 5 minutes. So it doesn't take up a whole lot of your evening, and pretty exciting to watch.
All right, guys, great stuff, and thanks for all that. We're going to talk some more softball, though, with Grace Saunders here in a little bit from Russia. So hang in there. We'll even talk a little baseball. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking a little track and a little softball, and of course we talked about those Russia Raiders. One big key to their success these last couple years, and this year, of course, is their pitching, and that's done by none other than Grace Saunders, who's coming back, I said, as the leading vote getter from last year, or the second leading vote getter. The first one, her teammate actually graduated, but we're happy to have Grace live on the phone right now. Grace, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, congratulations on that opening day win. Got a chance to get over there and actually call your game. I talked to your dad a little bit after the game, though, Grace, and he was a little concerned how the Lady Raiders were going to come out. Apparently, you haven't had a whole lot of practice time, or outside time, at least that is. Were you concerned at all?
It's definitely different being on the field. I mean, fielding a ground balls or just catching fly balls. It's definitely different having a hard ball and being on dirt instead of a gym floor. But just whenever we got the chance to be outside, everyone took advantage of every second, and then we just adjusted real quick on the field. I think it all worked out pretty well.
Well, it did work out pretty well because you won the game 6-0. You had a great performance yourself. I think you had 8 strikeouts in that game, and actually you're coming off last season where the Lady Raiders finished 12-0 in the league. And one big key to that success was the seniors from last year. You lost 3 of them, including one of those was the player of the year. I just mentioned Maria Heron, and she was your catcher last year. So, you got a new catcher this year, and Lauren Monin, and, there has to be a certain chemistry, I think, between pitchers and catchers, of course. So I want to find out, how's that chemistry going? What did you two do to get on the same page this season?
It has been great with Lauren. We started working together in the summer, and instantly we just clicked. The more we've thrown together, the more we've just gotten on the same page, but she's done an awesome job stepping up, filling that position. Not an easy one. And, I feel like I've been pitching to her for years. It's so natural with her. It's just really been great.
Grace, hi, this is Ken. Let's talk about a few of your other senior teammates. You've got Claudia Counts down at first base. You've got a couple Gold Glovers and Kylie Sherman at third base, Lexi Monin at shortstop. How important are these girls as well to your defense from an infield perspective?
Every single one of these girls I trust with every single play. Every single time I know that there's a hit, I 100% guarantee that the play is going to be made. I have no worries with them. Having the same core group that we had last year, it's really nice just being able to know that they have my back every single time, and they're just helping me at every single play.
Grace, let's look at some of your the depth chart on a lot of the positions on the team, which is obviously very important. But when you look at Russia's depth chart, on the pitcher's mound, other than yourself, I don't know who our backup pitcher is. So you've had some injuries in the past. What have you done this year to maintain your health and to hopefully be able to stay that way throughout the season?
Just kind of been preparing for it, getting training and just getting the strength built up. And then as season goes on right now, just icing, stretching, just constantly taking care of myself. That way I'm not struggling with that again.
Grace, I've got one more question here. Let's talk about the head coach of the Raiders, and that's Coach Michelle Molenkamp. She's always one of our favorite interviews on our show. She brings a lot of energy, a lot of passion to the Rushi softball program. She's in her 5th year as the head coach. She's just seems like she does a wonderful job. Give us some insight on Coach Molenkamp and how important she is, not just to your team, but to the whole program at Rushi School.
Well, like you said, she does bring a ton of energy. Every day at practice, she shows up 100% ready to go, and she just makes softball so much fun. Each day at practice, we're doing something different. We're doing fun challenges, competitions. We have great team bonding. Today, she showed up to practice wearing a giant hair bow. We had a big bow day, which was a fun little theme. Just her love for the game, I think, is contagious to everybody. We had a 5:30 in the morning practice, and it was still, we were all there with good attitudes, just enjoying ourselves, happy to be playing softball because of her.
Well, I know how important certainly that is to have a good coach like that and someone to bring a lot of energy. It seems like, just from my perspective, there is a lot of excitement right now around the program. I hear it talked about not only amongst the fans and amongst the high school kids, but I hear it at those lower levels too, that the girls that are playing, in junior high and below that, they're excited for softball. So certainly it sounds like something that's really, really hot right now around Russia, that's for sure. Hey, Grace, I wanted to ask you, I know the goal of the team every year, one of the goals, of course, and this is for talking to Coach Mullenkamp in the past, is, of course, winning the league. And you were able to do that last year, going a perfect record, 12-0. So I imagine that's one of your top goals, if not your top goal again this year. But let's talk about another goal, and I'm sure that is to do as well as possible in the postseason. Last year, you girls exited there in the sectional tournament. What kind of things do you need to do? What kind of things do you need to work on here this part of the season to maybe go a little farther in the postseason? What do you have to get better at?
The biggest thing for sure is offense. I mean, we get to those postseason games, and we're seeing a lot of pitchers who are throwing a lot faster speeds than we're used to seeing, or they're just having a lot more movement in their pitches. So right now, we seem to be working on, no matter who we're at, if we're at practice, no matter who we're facing, just making those really quick adjustments. That way, when we get up to the plate in tournament time, we can make those adjustments then and really get around and hit the ball.
And this next question kind of dovetails off that one, but to get better, I've been told from the people that I talk to, Grace, some of the softball folks, that one big part of getting better is playing summer travel ball. And I think you've always been kind of a summer travel ball girl, but I don't think that's something that's been real big, maybe at Russia and maybe even in the SCAL, but it is a big thing in the CCC. What's your thoughts on travel ball? Is that all of a part of getting better and maybe getting a little farther in the postseason?
Travel ball is a great experience. I've done it for so many years. I've had excellent coaches, excellent teammates, but it really does help you because you're practicing you're not just playing games during the spring, you're practicing year-round. You're getting so many more just additional reps, even in just like fun situations. You're getting to meet a bunch of new girls. You get different perspectives from other coaches. You really learn so much, and I do think it's a great opportunity.
All right, well, listen, one more question before we let you go. And you're a senior this year, so getting ready to graduate here probably before you know it. But what are the plans for after graduation? Do they include any softball, or is this spring going to be it for you?
This upcoming fall, I'm going to be going to Ohio State, and then I won't be playing softball unless I join like a club team, which I'm definitely interested in looking into.
All right, Grace. Well, listen, that's all great stuff. We appreciate you being on our show tonight. From all of us here at Fish Report and your classmates out there in the other studio with TK and Heavy D and myself and Craig, we wish you the best of luck this year. Go Raiders, and good luck to you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Grace.
Yep.
All right, and that was Russia senior Grace Saunders, and you talked about pitching and chance to watch her the other night, and she is their person on the mound. Who they go to after her, I don't know. We'll see as the season goes on. You've got to have some type of backups, and Covey mentioned a little earlier about Larmy and their pitching, losing a first teamer last year. It's such a key role in the team, and you got to have an ace if you're going to win, and you got to have a backup too in case the ace gets in trouble.
That's for sure. And softball's a little bit different because the girls can pitch, I think, every inning of every game all year round. So, but you're right. Sometimes they're going to get tired. They're going to get sore. They need a break here and there because you play a lot of games. We were talking earlier tonight, you could play 8 games in 8 days here starting this Saturday to the following Saturday. So, but you're right. You got to have a lot of depth in every position. And I'm sure Coach Mullenkamp and her Russia Raiders, they'll figure something out.
All right, well, let's go back to the sound room and check in with the guys. TK and Heavy D back for the spring sports season like they are every season for us. They do it all back there. But, guys, talking a lot of sports tonight. We hit track. We hit some softball, talked a lot about softball. You guys got anything else for me? Any baseball talk, or what else is going on in the wide world of sports?
We can start off with a little baseball talk, I guess. I'm sure we'll get into it in a little more detail next week and the following weeks. But just to look at SCAL and what we have coming up with, I guess, just one game under our belts with the bad weather so far. Looks like probably again this year it's going to be Anna, Fort Laramie, and Russia. All those teams hit a little bit by senior graduation. I'd have to say probably Russia hit the worst. if you're looking at production, and they lost 4 really good seniors, or more than that. But I think the key overall to all 3 of those teams is they really didn't lose a lot of pitching. In the era now of the pitch count, that's going to be a big thing. Proved out last year with a lot of teams struggling with how to get the pitch count and have enough pitchers. Again, that's going to be the key. All 3 of those teams have good pitching coming back, so going to be an interesting year and seeing who's got the offense, because there's going to be a lot of defense with pitching and good outfields out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good points there, TK. And I hate to move past basketball too quick, and just a big shout out to Minster Lady Wildcats and Coach Wiss, building a great program over there. A lot of tradition there. So Mike Wiss, great coach, stand-up guy, family man, all-around good stick. And also to Coach Guttemiller and the Marion Local Flyers. Again, big win. I mean, every kid's dream to be on the foul line. 2 seconds left, double overtime, down by 1. And you talk about big, carrying the weight of the world on that guy's shoulders. You talk about big.
You're right there, Heavy.
That was a lot of fun to watch.
You've practiced them shots in your driveway. Every kid in America has practiced them shots in the driveway all the time, and not very many of them get that opportunity, but fortunately for the Marion Flyers and Tyler Mesher, he did, and he was successful.
Well, he made them fans hold their breath with both those shots, didn't he? They kind of used every part of the rim on him.
That first one, I'm not sure how that one went in.
Nope.
So, yeah, good stuff there, guys. And, congratulations to those. And a couple more championships over the MAC. Imagine that. So.
Yep, they earned it. They earned it, and congratulations to them. I'm happy for both of them. Minster Lady Wildcats and the Marion Flyers.
All right, guys, we'll hang in there because we got one more thing to get to, and that is tonight's poll question. Ken, why don't you read it for our viewers again?
Which of these Shelby County League softball teams do you feel has the best chance of winning the league championship? Is it Anna, Fort Loramie, Houston, or Russia? TK, what do the telemetrics have to say?
Well, the telemetrics have to say we got a hometown crew tonight because it's 100% for the Russia Raiders. Nobody else, I guess, is tuning in or willing to vote because the Raiders swept it tonight.
Maybe they just all know how dominant Coach Molenkamp and her Russia team is.
Could be. They're going to be a tough one to beat this year, I think, as well.
Well, I'm sure we got our friend from Fort Loramie. He's always dialed in every Wednesday night.
He'll let us hear about it. He'll let us hear about it.
Yeah, Bill's dialed in, I'm sure, so he should be voting, and he probably voted for Russia as well.
All right, good stuff, guys, and thanks for that. And with that, we're going to wrap it up tonight. We do want to say special thanks to our guest, Grace Saunders, for joining us on the show tonight. Thanks to the viewers out there for tuning in. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place, every week during the spring sports season. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging